All right, so welcome to the Skill Garage Business Analysis Training. Now, I'm going to jump straight into things today, give you some preamble. You will need approximately about 120 minutes. I'd say that's about 2 hours to get the best out of this training today. We have structured the classes in such a way that a novice can consume easily. And you're going to see that from when we start, going into the nitty-gritty. Yes, no tech background is needed. It does not matter if you are a novice. This was put together with you in mind. Okay, so who is this for? If you want to transition to a six-figure business analysis tech career that pays $100,000 or more in a year, then this is for you. If you want to earn more money and also have time for your family and loved ones, then this is for you. You want to have more time to go on vacations without even going broke, this is also for you. Or you want to just move from surviving, that survival mode, into a thriving mode, this is also for you. Or you simply are here because you're tired of your job and you want a change, then this is also for you. So what I'm offering you today will be a high impact business analysis and product ownership training and experience. And today's session is definitely free. The same for the next session that you'll be attending. But who am I and why should you listen to me? Why do I speak with so much conviction that I can do the things that I say that I will do? Well, first and foremost, I used to be a university lecturer before I transitioned into tech. All right. And I am an associate fellow higher education academy in the UK. That also solidifies the fact that I'm a teacher. All right. I started teaching at the age of 15. And I'm also a product management consultant with over 10 plus years of experience across multiple industry verticals, from health to finance to wealth management, hospitality, e-commerce and retail, real estate, etc. And I've worked with 20 plus global brands across the world, from Abbott to Rogers. Some of these brands you will know, Barclays, RBC, Telos, ABB, and so on and so forth. I'm a certified BA. I'm a certified Scrum Master. I'm a certified Scrum Product Owner. And last year, we were fortunate to be nominated Obsidy BMO Black Entrepreneur of the Year 2024. We didn't clinch the award eventually, but we emerged top three. I was able to emerge top three until this year. I was nominated for Entrepreneur of Impact. So put all of that together. I think there's a good reason for you you know, to listen. I have helped more than 200 motivated professionals like yourself to transition seamlessly to tech in the past 4 years. And here I am again to help you do the same. And I've added over $25 million in terms of revenue, income size, collective income into the pockets and to the bank accounts of many families that have gone through our academy in the past 4 years. Now, we've been featured on NBC, on CBS, and ABC. That's our business analysis program. And I've been able to build this world-class EdTech Academy from the scratch with over 225 star Google reviews as of today. And you can check that out for yourself with numerous success stories monthly. All right. We have one of our, best paid student called Yvonne. Yvonne earns over 208,000 from one job, as an SME product business analyst. So you'll be wondering, why am I teaching business analysis and product at the same time? It's because there's huge opportunities on both fronts. You don't need to limit yourself. So Yvonne is one of those that show that he's able to do that. He earns about $100, not about, he earns $100 per hour. Every single hour that passes, he earns uh dollars, and he's guaranteed 40 hours in a week. You can imagine, when you do the calculation, that is 208,000 in a year. And that can also be you. Akram is also one of our students who went through this space. He came in from the healthcare line, And he was able to take that and move into product consulting in Johnson's and Johnson. We also have someone like Vidant, who was actually a salesperson at TELUS, and he was able to take the training that we gave him and the support that we gave him. He was able to take that and then move us into the role of a senior business analyst, even within TELUS. We have Dr. Kristen, who came to the program last year, and in 10 weeks, he was able to land 3 roles, but he was able to just, settle for 2, and he earns over $180,000 as I speak with you in Maryland, United States of America. And we have several other success stories. In the past 2 weeks, we've had well over 6 success stories. You can check that out on our Instagram page. And I'm believing that there's somebody here listening to me today who will also be part of these success stories. So, why should you listen to me? Simple, it's because of results. I'm here to get you results. I can get you that result, but the question is, are you game? The question is, are you ready? Are you ready to bet on yourself? Are you ready to bet on your future? Are you ready to, take the bull by the horn? Are you ready to put in the work? That's another thing. Are you ready to make the necessary sacrifices that are needed to make this transition? Now, I'm going to put it the way that it is. It takes a whole lot of sacrifice to make that transition. I transitioned myself about 10 years ago from being a lecturer to being a business analyst. So if I know anything about not coming from a tech background, if there's anybody who knows anything about not coming from a tech background and moving into tech, I think I'm one of such persons. And I've been able to help more than 200 people in the past 4 years to also do and make such transitions. Even those who were homemakers, they've never worked in an office before. Someone like Omaumi had to make that move. Now, listen, it's not a walk in the park, like I say, it is hard work. So if you're not prepared to do the hard work, I would just advise that you this is the time to just bail out. This is the time to, just step out of the call because it's hard work. It's a whole lot of hard work. It's a lot of training. It's a lot of hands-on practical work that you'll get to do, right? So, and a lot of audacity. Okay, it's one thing to get the training, it's another thing to get the experience, but there's another ingredient called grit and audacity. You need to have the boldness to go in there and do what we ask you to do. That is it. And those are the people that are found to actually succeed when it comes to, uh, getting their success stories. What can you expect? Number one, on this call, I will help you learn. You will learn in very simple, non-technical, and relatable terms the fundamentals of business analysis and product ownership, what it is and what it entails. Number two, you will learn how to show business analysis and product ownership experience, even as a new entrant in this field. Number three, you will learn how to get business analysis and product ownership experience. Number four, you would learn how business analysis and product related projects are executed from start to finish. And then you will also learn about Agile and Waterfall. I'm going to put that in the mix here as an introduction. Okay, we'll go deeper into these subjects much later. And you will learn how to win in today's job market. So I know what you're thinking right now. You're probably, doubting yourself. Can I do this? Can I not do this? Just stick around and see if we go through the introduction, introduce business analysis to you, and you feel this is not for you, okay, that's fine. You feel free to jump off. Okay, some of you have been told that transitioning to tech is hard. Okay, you be the judge for yourself. Okay, stick around and hear things for yourself. Get to ask the questions that are on your mind, the questions that bother you, and then we probably can give you answers to those questions. You have been told that you probably need to code to get into tech. Well, I'm here to help you, you know, break that myth that you do not need to code to be able to transition to tech. In fact, business analysis do not require you to code to get to tech. And I know for some of you, you probably no longer trust boot camps because the last one you took probably broke your heart or they took your money, gave you so much promises, and that is okay. It's okay to jump in with skepticism, right? Every human. I have an engineering background, and as a chemical engineer, one of the things that my professor taught me was to go in, uh, into with every research you go in with skepticism. So it's okay to come in as a skeptic. Our actions hopefully will be able to restore your trust in the fact that there is high impact training available out here. So please hear me out. We are all about value at the Skill Garage, and that is why I will be giving you a ton of value right from your first contact, right from today. All right, with us. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to jump straight into what we came here for, which is learning about business analysis. So today I'm going to be looking at what exactly is business analysis, who is a business analyst, how to transition with no prior experience, how to flip your previous experience as a business analyst experience, and how a business analysis project is run. I'll look at agile and waterfall, and then I'll tell you what it will take you to be able to run this program from start to finish. All right, so get your pen and paper ready because we're about to jump right in. Okay, so please confirm with me if you can see my screen. If you can see my screen, just confirm with me and put one in the chat quickly. I want to be sure that you're with me. All right, I don't want you to sleep on me now. I want to be sure that you're with me. So if you still can see my screen, I want you to put 1 1 1 1 in the chat. So good. All right. If you're completely new to business analysis, if you're completely new, like you know, this is your first, you're just trying to get in. I want you to put new, NEW. I want you to put new. I want to be sure who is here that is completely new to the subject. You're just, trying to see what is this exactly. All right. Okay. I can see quite a few people here are new. All right. Perfect. Please, whether you're new or you are not new, it doesn't matter. Like I said initially, we will be trying to make sure, we'll do our best to make sure that everything is taught from first principles. And whether you had a prior knowledge or not will not matter. Whether you had an experience in tech or not will not matter. Whether you're coming in as someone who used to bake cakes, or you're coming in as someone who used to teach mathematics, or someone who used to teach, language studies, or you're coming in like someone like myself, like a lecturer, or you're coming in from an accounting background, it won't matter. All right. We will try as much as possible, or I will try as much as possible to make sure that whatever you're learning will be from the very foundation, the very basics. All right. So, what is business analysis? To help us understand this question, or to help us answer this question, let's look at the definition of business analysis from the IIBA Babok Guide version 3.0. Now, the IIBA, for those of you who do not know, stands for International Institute of Business Analysis. And Babok stands for Business Analysis Book of Knowledge, okay, by IIBA. Now, version 3.0 simply means that it has gone through 2 reviews, right, since the first publication, and this is the 3rd installment. So we'll be taking the definition of business analysis from the Babok Guide version 3.0. But before we define business analysis, I want us to start with something that I feel is very important. It helps you to find your footing properly, and it will really help you to understand the subject matter. And that is what I call the concept of change. Now, you will really understand or appreciate why I am taking you through this route. By the time we begin to look at business analysis as a whole, you will appreciate why I am taking you through this route. So please, I want you to observe the following sets of slides quickly. I want you to observe that. Just observe. I just want you to observe. Don't worry. I want you to observe this. Now, for those of you who don't know who is on the screen, this happens to be the same person. Okay, they are only separated by time. Okay, the same person in this frame, the person on the left is the same person on the right. They're only separated by time. Okay. All right. Okay, just keep observing. I'm going to ask questions later. Just keep observing. Yeah, just keep observing. I'm going to ask you questions very soon. So you can see Starbucks, Pepsi Cola, some of these brands you already know or you know. Okay, I want you to see what's happening there. Okay, I hope you've observed that. Now, quickly, I want you to put in the chat, what did you notice? What did you notice? Quickly, put that in the chat. What did you notice in one word? I want you to put down what did you notice in your own word. I don't want you to use the word change because I use the word change. So that's a giveaway. But I want you to see the things that I showed you. How would you express them in your own words? I see someone saying transition. That's a good one. I see somebody saying transformation. That's a good one. All right. What else? What else? What else? I see somebody saying unbelievable. Maybe because of the second slide. I see somebody saying evolving. All right. What else? What else can you use in describing the screens that I showed you? These screens. All right. What else? Growth. Thank you. I can see growth, evolving. Thank you. Okay. Something became better. Somebody's trying to use the same word, change. All right. So remodeling, facelift, growth, rebranding, upgrade, metamorphosis, transformation, remodeling, whatever name you want to put to it. All right. You can still describe all these things that I have said right here and all the things you're saying in the chat right now. You can still describe it with this one word called change. True or false? I want to see who agrees with me on that. All these things you've said in the chat, evolving, transition, transformation, growth, facelift, we can represent everything that we've said so far with this singular word called change. Do you agree with me? Let's start with that. Do you agree with me? Because if you don't agree with me, that's where we'll begin. That's where issues will start. That's where problems will start. So do you agree with me? Okay, I can see people agreeing with me. Good. All right. Since you agree with me, let's now move to another part which I want you to agree with me. Now, do you agree with me that change is inevitable? Change is universal. Anybody agrees with me on that one? Do you agree with me? I want you to agree with me again. Change is inevitable. Now, somebody will be asking, is this business analysis? Yes, I'm getting there. Just stick with me. Is change is inevitable. Do you agree with me on that? Do you agree with me on that? Yes? Yes? All right. Now, every day, organizations are driving change every single day. As we speak, there's an organization trying to do something, trying to make something better, trying to make their process better, trying to do something to their product, trying to bring in a new, feature or a new addition, trying to change their policy. There's an organization trying to do something, maybe digital transformation. They're trying to upgrade their service. They're trying to launch a new service. They're trying to rebrand. They're trying to change policy. They're trying to make organizational changes, process improvements. Some of them are trying to enter a new market. So change is always happening, whether you like it or not. And organizations that refuse to change will stay stagnant. And stagnancy means they'll be obsolete. They will eventually become obsolete. So companies are constantly undergoing change. Now, when we say change, when we mention the word change, what exactly is change? So I want you to understand the concept of change before I take you into understanding business analysis. Because one of the things you will find out with business analysis is that it is directly connected with this thing called change. So I want you to understand change before we get there. So change occurs in one of two ways. If you look at change, all right, anywhere in the world, even in your own personal life, anywhere, change will fall in one of these two ways. Number one is either you are creating something that is new, or number two, you are modifying something that already exists. Think about it. When you say change, it will only occur in one of two ways. It's either that thing is already existing and then you make it better. Now, I'm not saying you can't make it worse, but I'm only trying to focus on positive change. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because I know that some change can actually be negative, right? But let us focus on positive change. And if you see here, I said modify something that already exists. So your modification can either be positive or negative. But for the purpose of business analysis, I want us to focus more on positive change because no company wants to make a change, right, that is taking them backwards. Do you get what I'm saying? So change will occur in one of these two ways. It's either that organization is creating something new or they are modifying something that they already have. How many of you agree with me? You agree with me? I'll be asking questions like that just to make sure that you are following me. All right, so change occurs in one of these two ways. But why would you want a change? What would even trigger a change in the first place? How would an organization want to change anything? You know what they say in football? I mean, if the strategy is working, why change the formation? If it's working, why change? But you see, something will, you know, will force us to want to create a change. So why would you want to create something new? Why would you want to modify that which was already existing? Why? Okay, I'll tell you. The simple answer is because there is a need. So when a company you know, sees a need or encounters a need, then it's time to change. It's time to bring about a change. So change is actually initiated. Change is actually sponsored. Change is actually, triggered as a result of the need. So a need is what initiates and inspires a change. Stick with me here. Now let's talk about need. What is a need? A need is either a problem you are trying to solve or an opportunity to be cultivated. So need will fall in these two categories. It can't be outside of these two categories. It's either that company has a problem they are trying to solve, or there is an opportunity that needs to be cultivated. For example, maybe entering a new market. A problem, for example, their process is now inefficient, or they've grown astronomically and their current software or current process or current whatever it is can no longer hold them, can no longer serve them. So it could be a problem. It could be an opportunity. Either of these will signal the need for a change. So let us quickly examine something for a minute. I want us to examine this for a minute. Look at this. Okay? Look at this. Now, will you say that this change was successful? Because I know that a need is what triggers a change. But the question is, are all changes successful? Because I want you to understand why business analysis is important. I want you to look at this diagram or look at this, nice picture in front of you. Look at how the customer explained it. Look at how the project leader understood it. Look at how the engineer designed it. Look at how the programmer wrote it. Look at how the sales executive described it. Look at how the project was documented. Look at what operations installed. Look at how the customer was billed. Look at how the help desk supported it and what the customer really needed. Now, will you say this was a successful change? Anybody? I want to hear from one or two people. So if you raise your hands, I'm just going to pick you. Will you say this is a successful change? I think it's obvious, right? Is this a successful change? Yes or no? You can put it in the chat in case you don't want to lend your voice. You can put it in the chat. I love what somebody just put in the chat right now. Thank you so much. He said it was change, but not successful. It was change, but not successful. So look at what the customer explained, but look at how they designed it. Look at how they executed it through their programs. Look at how the sales executive described it. But you see, the funny thing here in this diagram is not even all of this. It's the fact that what the customer really needed wasn't even what he explained. So even if they built what he explained, it will still not have solved his need. Do you see that? That what the customer really needed, even the customer could not explain it. So that goes to show you a lot of things. That some people have needs and they are not even able to express the need that they have. They're not able to express it properly. So that begins to help you understand why business analysis is important. And we are going to see that very soon. It's so that we can always have successful changes, changes that actually meet the need for the change. How is that possible? Okay, you're going to get to see that. So it is obvious that the answer is a no. Not all changes are successful. But I also love us to observe something else when it comes to change. It typically involves different parties. So when an organization says they want to carry out a change, it's not a solo effort. Different people will be involved. For example, the project leader, the customer, the engineer, the programmer, the salesperson, the customer, the person billing or accounts, the operations, the help desk. Different people will be involved in that change. These parties will need to be aligned. They will need to be aligned on the change. They will need to be aligned on the solution. They will need to be aligned on the approach. They will need to be aligned on every other thing that surrounds the change. You don't want them getting to this point where everybody is having different ideas of what to implement. This person thinks it has to be this way. This person thinks it's this way. That other person thinks it has to be this way. All having different opinions as to how this should be done. You don't want that to happen. You want them to be aligned. And these parties will come together on what is called a project. And that is why for those of you who have BA friends or business analyst friends, you will always hear them say something like, oh, they've put me on a new project. Because the project is the vehicle through which they will execute the change. So the parties will come together on what is called a project to achieve that change. As a business analyst, you will be placed on a project to enable the change. Exactly what does that mean? You'll be working on that project to bring about the change, to bring about that new thing, or to modify that thing that was already existing. And remember that the project is a series of activities, meaning that there are several things you have to do within a given period of time to be able to achieve a certain outcome. These are the things that I will be showing you in the course of this program, the things that you will do. So my question is, talking about aligning all these different parties, who will be responsible for that? Who will help the different parties align on all the components of the change? Who will help them align on the process? Who will help them align on the opportunity? Who will help them align on the solution? Who will help them align on the need? Who will help them align on what is changing, the steps involved, what we should do now, what we should do later? Who will help them align on the pain point? Who will help them understand the need? Remember that picture I showed you? The customer has a need, but even the customer did not even know how to express it. So how do we assess the need? Who is going to do that for us? How do we know the features to put in? How do we know what should remain? The difficulties involved, the product, the problem. How do we know all of these? Who will help us align all of these? Your guess is as good as mine. That person is actually the business analyst. So now that I've given you this preamble, you are now beginning to imagine things in your head. You can already begin to see exactly where I'm going with this. And that's the idea. Now I'm trying to take this piecemeal and from first principles, helping you see the concept of change. Why? Because you are a novice. You don't know what business analysis is about. So I'm trying to help you gradually ease you into what business analysis is. Don't forget, I started with the concept of change. I told you what change is. I told you that change can only be accomplished via two ways. Number one, creating something new or modifying something that already exists. And then I said change will not just happen for the sake of change. It will happen because there is a need for that change. And I define need in two ways. Number one, problem to be solved or an opportunity to be cultivated. And now, when this change is to be carried out, it will be carried out within the context of a project. We'll talk about that very soon later. There will be different parties involved. These different parties are very likely to be misaligned, to think about the need and think about the change in different ways, because we all come from different backgrounds. We all think in our own different ways. So the way I see the need may be different from the way the customer sees the need, may be different from the way this person understands it. So there need to be that glue, that alignment that helps everybody on the team to be of one accord. Who's going to help us in that activity? Who's going to help us, stay the course? Who's going to help us understand, have the same understanding of what we need to produce? Is the business analyst. So now that I've gotten you to this point, let me now answer the question itself. What is business analysis? Let me now answer that question. According to the Bible Guide, version 3.0, it reads that business analysis is the practice of enabling change in an enterprise by defining needs and recommending solutions that deliver value to stakeholders. Now, that is very simple and straightforward. Honestly, if you asked me, I would say this is really very simple. It's straightforward. It's the practice of enabling change in an enterprise. Okay. By defining the needs and then recommending solutions, okay, that deliver value to stakeholders. But you see, sometimes, have you ever been confronted with something you think you know, but because you're now asked consciously to explain that which you know, you now begin to have a rethink and ask yourself, do I really know it? Because sometimes we take things at face value. So I don't want that to happen to you here, where you listen to a definition or you see a definition from the textbook and you just assume you know. So to get rid of that assumption, because I don't want you to leave this class tonight, you are going to be spending approximately 2 hours on this call. I don't want you to spend those 2 hours on this call and still leave this call with an assumption of what business analysis is. So I will ensure that I break this down. And for me to help you understand this in a way you will never forget, I have selected some key words. Number one is the word change, which I have been talking about for the past 20 minutes. The second is the word enterprise, which I'm going to help you understand. The third is the word need. The fourth will be the word solution. The fifth will be the word value. And the Sixth will be the word stakeholder. So let's talk about change. Remember, I told you that change is creating something new or modifying something that already exists. I don't need to spend too much time talking that. I also want you to understand, so that's change. Now, what is enterprise? When you talk about an enterprise is actually another name for an organization, or sometimes it is a group of organizations, and it's called an enterprise. Question: what makes up an organization? If you were to say this is an organization, what are the fundamentals that make up that organization? You can't have an organization without products, without processes. Organizations would have products, at least they will have one or more of these things. You agree with me? An organization will have one or more of these things. So it's either they have products and probably don't have process, or they have product and they have process. So they'll have one or more of these things. So I say that an organization is made up of this. This will be the DNA of an organization: their product or service, their processes, their people, their policies, and their technology. Are you following me? So if you say that business analysis is the practice of enabling change in an organization or in an enterprise, what you are simply saying is that business analysis is the practice of enabling something new. Hold on, something new. What is that something? Oh, we defined it already. So it means that in business analysis, you can actually be creating a new product for that company, or modifying the one they already have. Or you can be creating a new process for that company, or modifying the process they already have. Maybe because that process is inefficient. Maybe because that process is costing a whole lot of money. Maybe because that process is very manual and time consuming. So now they want to put it in order. Or it could be new people or modifying the ones they already have. Now, in your head, I know you're thinking, Michael, how does business analysis make new people? Or how do we modify people? Simple. Remember that a man or people are really about the information that they have. So, take for example, you'll be a different person based off the information that you have today, based off the information that you have tomorrow. The difference between you and somebody else who is a BA today making 120K is information. And remember that the BA is responsible for change in an organization, changing the way people work, changing the tools that they use, changing the features on the product. So he needs to bring information to these people so that they can easily adapt and adopt the change. So a BA will be involved in training people. That's what we mean by modifying people, new people. So back again to the conversation, business analysis is the practice of enabling change in an enterprise, which enterprise means organization. So it means that you are creating a new product or modifying the one they have. You are creating a new process or modifying the one they have, new people or modifying the people they have. I've already explained what that is. New policies or modifying the one that is there, or you are making sure that things actually abide by the policies, which is compliance, or you are creating new technology for that company or modifying the technology that they already have. Like some of you are accountants. You have probably worked in a place where they changed the accounting software that you were using. Some of you have worked in banks where they had to change, certain tech stack that your bank or your logistics company or the warehouse you are working for. That is change. It's part of the change we're talking about. And I will show you how you can leverage some of those things as your experience. So again, business analysis is the practice of enabling change. We didn't say you are the one implementing the change. It didn't say that. It said you are enabling the change. You're a catalyzer for the change. You're a catalyst for the change. Okay? You are a helper for the change. So you are creating something new or modifying something that already exists. And we already mentioned the parts, some of the things that you can be involved in. And then the next one is need, which I already said is a problem or opportunity. So it means that business analysis is the practice of you creating a new product or modifying the one that was already there, creating a new process or modifying the one that was already there, creating a new technology or modifying the one that was already there by defining the needs, by defining the problem first. So the first thing you do as a BA is to understand the problem, is to understand the need, is to understand the pain point, is to understand where it is pinching them. Just for the, so that you understand this better, is to understand the opportunity in front of you. And if you remember the picture I showed you about the change that was not successful, the person who had the need did not even know how to express it because there was nobody there to help us define that need properly, to question the need, to ask the right questions. Because if they had asked the right question, let's go back here. If they had asked the right questions here, or if they had somebody to ask the right questions, what the customer really needed will actually be what the customer will be explaining. There will be no room for misalignment. Because even the customer is not accurate with his real need. Who is going to question the need? Who is going to assess the need? Who is going to assess where they are right now? How they do it right now? What the problem is right now? Ask the relevant questions to get to the bottom of the matter. Who will be there to do this? That person is missing on this diagram. So the first place you start, even in the definition, is actually even telling you where you start from as a BA. That you can't be a successful BA without understanding the need. And in module 3, I'm going to be teaching you about need assessment. So the first place to start as a business analyst is defining the needs. And I said need is the problem or opportunity. So you're trying to understand the pain point. And you're not going to be working alone. You'll be working with experts. You'll be working with customers. You'll be working with people. You'll be working with subject matter experts. And as you are gathering this information, and as you are collecting this information, remember, you are defining the need. You'll be eliciting what we call elicitation, either by reason of looking at certain documents that they will give you, or you're doing your research, or you're asking the right questions, from the right persons, and you're collecting all this information. And then you document this information. That is why here, if you go back again to this, sorry, I'm going to be going back a little. There was no documentation. So there was no reference point for anything. And one of the things we're going to teach you is documentation as a BA. You can't escape it. But there's a way that these things are documented. We're going to talk about that later. So he's going to get all of that information, share it with the people he's working with, and together they are able to come up with what is called a solution. Now, when some of you hear the word recommend solution, your head will be in the clouds. You'll be thinking too much. But let's break it down. What exactly is a solution? Think about it. The last time you asked your friend for help, the last time you asked your friend, how will we do this? The solution, please tell, what did he give you? If he probably gave you an advice, and that advice was an approach, and then you will now go and implement the approach, isn't it? A solution. So solution could be an approach. A solution could be the design of how that thing should be. It could be a design. So based on the information you've now gathered and you've shared with the experts, you guys will come together, and then there can be a brainstorm session to say, okay, some of you think you're the ones that will be coming up with this solution. It's a lie. In some cases, yes. In some cases, no. You work with people. A BA is not a loner. You work with people. And then because you're working with people, they're now able to suggest approach. They're now able to suggest design. They're now able to suggest technology or features or steps in a process that can help to handle that problem that you have discovered, that problem that you have assessed. And that solution, by the time it is implemented, is going to bring value, benefits, benefit. And this is where you begin to see here things like 30% increase in sales, 60% decrease in churn rate. It reduced our capital cost by 17%. You begin to hear value. And these are the kind of things that you put on your resume as accomplishments. We're going to talk about that. Value to stakeholders, to everybody that is affected or affects the project. Now, if you put everything I've said so far together, if you put it all together, you're going to have something like this. From the IIBA definition, now you're going to have something like this for business analysis. So business analysis will now be the practice of enabling a new product, a new process, a new technology, or modifying the ones that already exist in an organization or business by defining the problem first, defining and understanding the pain point, defining and understanding the opportunities, and then working this out with the rest of your team. And then by reason of working this and sharing that information with the rest of your team, you are able to come up with features. You're able to recommend solution. You're able to come up with features, steps in the process, technology, etc., that will deliver benefits to everybody that is affected or affects the project. So that is business analysis in a nutshell. It's about preferring solution, but before you can prefer solution, you need to understand the need. How many of you get this? If you get it, put yes in the chat. If you get it, if this is simple for you, you've been able to understand what business analysis is, please put yes in the chat. Quickly, put yes in the chat. This is clear to you, put yes in the chat quickly. All right, cool. So now that you understand this, the next thing that I want to get into is, now that you understand what business analysis is, the next thing I want to get into is how then can you leverage your skills and experience? Because some of you are coming from accounting backgrounds. Some of you are coming from, you're a caterer. You bake cakes for a living, right? Some of you are coming from healthcare. Some of you are coming from education. You see, like myself. Some of you are coming from engineering. It doesn't matter. Some of you are coming from, just name it. It doesn't matter. Logistics, warehousing, supply chain. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. And you see why I said it doesn't matter. How do you leverage those skills and that experience into business analysis? Because I always tell people that there are three things you want to look at for when you're transitioning. Three things. Number one, you want to look at for the ease of transition, meaning that you can carry with you your baggage. You can take what you already have and not throw it away completely. Because I know some of you are very, you want to hold your profession tight. Some of you that have been accountants for 15 years or more, you've worked in the bank for 20 years. You can't imagine yourself leaving it. In fact, let me shock you. I have a student who actually is a BA now in Saskatchewan. He's a BA. He's been a BA for 2 years now. He transitioned like 2 years ago. But he called me a few days ago. That was last week, I believe. And said, my guys, they want to go and do this CPA. And said, yes, I'm a BA, I'm making my money, but something still, I can't imagine that I have left this thing that I've been doing for 20 years. He's a much older guy, right? I think 20, 25 years. He said, I can't believe that and I asked him, why do you want to do it? I said, Michael, I said, why do you want to do it? Ask yourself the fundamental. He said, is it professional development or is it just money? He said, it's both. As I see, you don't want to leave this thing. And some of you may be like that. You don't want to leave the things you've been doing for a long time, which is fine, and I understand it. I get it. Like I have always been passionate about teaching, and that's why I got into lecturing. Even after having a job as an oil and gas in an oil and gas firm, I left it and I went back to teaching in school, in the university. And even when I moved into tech, I couldn't still hold it. I still wanted to teach. So now I'm teaching. So I know some of you, I understand that you don't want to leave those things behind. So it's important that you are able to take that thing with you and move. That's number one, ease of transition. Number two is ease of learning. Okay, you want to be able to learn that thing fast. Now, let me shock you. Business analysis is something you can learn in 1 week. I tell people that as we began to get students, we began to build a structure. As we began to build the skill garage, we began to build a structure around the bootcamp. So now the bootcamp is 10 weeks. But my first set of students like Obieze did this in 1 week. And they got a job the next week. I'm not kidding you. The likes of Obieze did this in 1 week. Although, yes, they sacrificed a lot. Because I remember Obieze will wake up 12 a.m. in the night and we will do our training for 5 hours till 5 a.m. How many of you can do that? And we'll still go to work in the morning. How many of you can do that? You see? So there was a lot of sacrifice there. 25 hours. So we did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 5 hours each day at night from 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. And the next week, he started applying to a job. And he got a job by the end of that week. And the likes of Toby and the likes. All right. So business analysis can be learned like that. And that's why for most of you, when you come on the program, we give you the self-paced course just in case you want to run faster than us. It's okay. The likes of EJ did it. Yes, EJ. The likes of EJ did it. They got a job in 4 weeks. And a good job at that. 120. I think that was paying 125 or something. A good job at that. In 4 weeks, she finished the self-paced in 1 week. She did the interview prep videos in another week. She started applying in the 3rd week. In the 4th week, she called me and said, Michael, I have a job. I was shocked. Yeah, so it's possible. So the ease of transition, the ease of learning, and the reward on your investment. You see, business analysis is one of those places where you can actually get 1,000% reward on investment. I don't know anywhere where you're going to put in $2,000 or $2,500 and you're going to get $90 in 10 weeks or in 6 months, even in 1 year. I don't know of any kind of investment. I do not know. If you know, tell me. Where you put 1,500 or 2,000 or 2,500 and you'll be getting 120. And if you're very lucky like Yvonne, okay, or like the lady who gave me a success story a day before, you're earning $60 per hour. If you do the math, that's a 6-figure salary. So you want to look out for these 3 things, right? And business analysis has all of those 3 things. So as a business analyst, remember I said you will be placed on a project to enable change. Now, that is the central thing, is the word change. And to help you see how it's possible to leverage your previous experience as a business analyst, I want us to examine who a business analyst is. So the question is, who is a business analyst? Remember, I just told you about business analysis and what it is, right? So the next question is, who is the business analyst? Who is he? Now, I will take my guide from my definition from the Babel Guide again. I'll take it from the Babel Guide, and there's a reason for that. According to the Babel Guide, the same version 3.0, okay, the business analyst is defined as any person, he didn't say, he said any person who performs business analysis task, no matter their job title or organizational role. He says, if you have performed a BA task, it doesn't matter your organizational, what they give you in your job as a title. The fact that you carried out that job function means that you are a BA. So if you've involved yourself in some kind of strategy, you've involved yourself in some type of change, requirements gathering, solution evaluation, solution documentation, requirements. If you've driven change in any form, if you've improved business processes in any form, if you've helped to launch a new product and service in any form, if you've improved the current state of how they do things, a product, a service, a process, if you've helped a business to maximize profit and save cost, if you've made a process more efficient, if you've helped the business gain competitive advantage, if you've recommended solutions in any way to a prevailing business problem, if you've helped a business to maximize opportunities by entering a new market or whatever that is, and we can go on and on. I'm just highlighting 9 to you, but there's a lot, which you're going to begin to find out. There's a lot. If you've done any of these things, listen, you are a business analyst. Let's call a spade, like they say, right? If you've done any of these things. Now, let me quickly, with the ones I have in front of me, there are 9 altogether. Now, how many have you done? Now, if you've done 0, no worries. If you've done 0, don't worry, just put 0 over 9. I have 9 here. So I want you to tell me, which ones can you identify yourself in? If it is 1, just put 1 over 9. If it is 2, put 2 over 9. If it is 3, put 3 over 9. If it's 4, put 4 over 9. If it's 5, put 5 over 9. I want to see that in the chat quickly. Quickly. Quickly, quickly, quickly. Someone's saying 2 over 9, 3 over 9, 8 over 9, 9 over 9, 5 over 9. That is great to see. Okay. Now, if you've not done anything, don't worry. Not to worry. Don't feel like you are, you're left behind. No. Don't feel that way. It's okay. All right. It's okay. I'll tell you how we can bring you on board. All right. So if you've done any of these things, listen, you are a business analyst. Now, I'm going to move you straight up here so I can help you see some things a bit. I'm going to move things into my, my iPad. I'm going to share my screen. So just let me know if you can see my screen. That would be great. Okay, so remember, we are talking about how can you leverage your previous experience, right? How can you leverage it? That's the next thing we want to look at. Now, there's a couple of things. I told you this class is going to be 2 hours, so I need you. We've only spent 1 hour now, so just give me another 1 hour, and then we're going to meet again on Saturday at the same time, and we're going to explore a bit further, and then from there, we can now begin to determine those who want to continue the journey with us. Is that okay? All right. So remember this definition, that business analysis is the practice of enabling change in an organization by defining needs, recommending solutions that deliver value to stakeholders. We just finished with that definition, so don't forget it. Now, some of the things that you heard, some of the things that you would have heard is, number one, that there is a problem or an opportunity, which is the need, right? That's number one. You heard that for business analysis to even be a thing, for you to even implement a change or consider a change, there has to be a need. And then that need, you will need to, supply a solution, which of course is the change, right? And then you will need to let us know what the value is, the value or the outcome. So meaning that if you can articulate the need, if you can articulate the solution that you implemented, if you can tell us the outcome and output of that solution, and then tell us what you did, this time as a BA, if you can tell us these 4 things, the problem, the solution that was implemented to solve that problem, what you did as a BA, and the outcome, which is the value, if you can tell us these things, you can actually express or tell us about an experience as a BA. you can actually tell us experience as a BA. If you're able to tell us about a problem that was solved, the change that was implemented or the solution, what you did as a BA, which is, of course, what we're going to be teaching you in 10 weeks, and then the outcome. If you're able to express this, one of my students is getting, in fact, two of them are getting into the final stage of an interview this week. And what have they done in the previous stages? One went through 2 stages. The VP of product spoke with the VP of product on Tuesday, right? Spoke with the VP of product on Tuesday. Now they've invited her for another one today. I need to ask her how it went. Okay, so she spoke with the VP of engineering today. What were the emphasis of my interview prep with her? What were the emphasis? You want to know what I was prepping her on? I was prepping her on how to go and speak on a project that she has done. Yes. Because the way to express experience is through helping us understand. Because if business analysis is the practice of enabling change, you need to show them that you've been in an environment where change has happened. And you need to be able to articulate the problem. You need to be able to articulate the solution. You need to be able to articulate what you did, but in the terms from the BA perspective, and you need to be able to show them the outcome. Yes. So if you're able to do this, you can actually show them that you've done a project. I know some of you are saying, but Michael, where will I get this from? That's the next question, right? Where will I get the experience from? Where will you get the experience from? Number one, just like I said, you will get this experience by working on a project. So if you've never worked on a project before, now you're going to work on a project. If you've never worked on a project before, now you're going to work in a project where they will tell you that there is a need. A project where they will tell you that we need a solution. A project where they will tell you that there are certain things you need to carry out. So if you've never worked on a project before in your life, don't worry. I am here for you. I said what? Do not worry. I am here for you. So let me show you an example of what I'm talking about. For example, these are all projects that we've had recently. So let me show you the one that I gave them, like this one. For example, you can see the brief here. It will articulate the issue that we are trying to solve. It will articulate the goals, what we are looking to achieve. And then they will go in and start doing things. They will do things as BAs. They will conduct stakeholder interviews. They will identify competitors. They will build a BRD. They will do competitive analysis report. They will define core features. All right. They will sketch user flows and wireframes. They will prioritize features. They will collaborate with the UX UI designers and to start designing stuff. They've done most of these things now. So if you've never worked on a project before, that's fine. But let me show you for this particular project where they are. They gave us update on Tuesday. So let me see if I can show you the update. Give me a minute. So the first thing is, if you've never done a project before, or you don't think you have done a project before, that's not a problem. We've got you covered. Okay. Let me see if they already posted the project here. Then I can show you an example of if it's here already. If they've not posted it here, then I'm not able to show you. But they should have posted it here. All things being equal. Let me see. Okay, I don't think they've posted it yet because I don't see it here. Coach me here. No, I don't see it. All right. Or maybe let me show you another one. Or I give them an automation project. For example, these ones are working on an automation project. Still, there will be a problem they need to solve. For example, to streamline the project here is for them to streamline the handling of student inquiries, issues, and support needs through a centralized case management system using Zoho Desk. This will improve response time, accountability, visibility, and overall student satisfaction. So here now they will be working to set up Zoho Desk, to create intake channels, to create ticket routing, case assignments. They will, create automated notifications, create a knowledge base. This is what they will be doing. This is what they'll be doing. And then they will go through all this from week 1 to week 10 to create it. So if you've never worked on a project before, no worries. There is enough project to work on. Or is it Speakit? This is another one. We already have the web application for Speakit. Some of you that probably follow us will have seen that we launched the tutor version for Speakit. All right, it's already here, Speakit, for those of you followers. Okay. We launched the tutor version for Speakit, but we're still going to launch a few things in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, that's not my point. The point here is that these guys are improving on it. Remember that change is either creating something new or modifying. So these ones now, they are doing 1.1, meaning they are modifying. They are now going into live learning expansion. Because we have the gamified version. We have the gamified version. So now they are taking it into the live version. So this is the gamified version. And this has been built. So right now we have somebody who is going to be curating the curriculum for Yoruba language and putting it into this gamified version. So that's number one, is to work on a live project. Okay? Work on a live project. That's number one way to get experience. So you have to work on a project that can give you need, is going to show you the problem you're solving, show you the solution. You do some certain things as a BA. You remember, you saw that stuff I showed you. So what the BAs will do from week 1 to week 2 to week 3 to week 4 to week 5, the things, they're able to articulate that. And eventually there will be an outcome. This outcome will be your success metrics. I didn't show you that. There is a success metrics that they have to, there will be your success metrics. So you know how to articulate it. Now, this is number one. But thank God this is not the only way to get experience. So number 2 will be using your current or previous experience. Oh, Michael, how is this possible? How will I be able to use my current or previous experience? I was never a BA. I'll just tell you a little bit now. In week 10, get ready. I'll be telling you a whole lot. Because some of you think you know what work experience is. I can bet my life some of you think you know what work experience is. But in week 10, I'm going to be brainwashing you and telling you what you never knew about work experience. I will help you understand that work experience is not measured in one dimension. Because that is how we've looked at work experience, a measure of time. Because the next time you see on a job description and you see 8 years of experience, your heart will skip. 8 years of experience. You're like, this BA that I just learned yesterday, how can I get 8 years of experience, right? Oh, you got it wrong. It's the way they've programmed your mind to think about experience. And you know what? I can't tell you everything in this call. I'll tell you a lot in week 10. That's when I teach about work experience. It's a 4-hour class. I divide it into 2, one for resume and one for work experience. So I teach you about work experience so that when you have your resume in your hand, you can defend it. That's the purpose of that class. But let's put that aside. Let me give you at least something that will help you today. All right? Week 10 will handle week 10. But today, let me give you something that will help you, at least just to help you to begin to see what I'm talking about, right? You can use your current or previous experience. Let's start from the fact that, okay, now this is not what I'm going to teach you in week 10. It's way different. It's like, it's different. Now, using your current or previous experience. Remember that business analysis is the practice of enabling change. So let's see that change. I want you to tell me one organization, or I want you to tell me one industry. Anybody who gets it, I'm giving that person 20% discount straight up. Straight up. I'm giving you 20% discount if you get it. What am I talking about? 50% discount if you're able to give me an answer. But I know you'll not be able to give me an answer. Give me a forward-thinking organization or industry, forward-thinking, progressive, that does not undergo change. If you know of any, put it in the chat. And if your organization is one of them, put it here and let us see how you disgrace your organization or your industry. Tell me one where change. You worked there for 20 years and nothing changed. Their process did not change, even if it was a little process for handling customer services. Even if it was a little software that they just modified or they, introduced. Like, even if it was the logistics, even you as a baker, the way you used to do things previously in 2020 is not the way you're doing things now. Tell me one. You've worked in that place for 3 years. Tell me you've not identified one thing, a change, like they created something new or they modified something that they already exist, no matter how small it was. Tell me that you've never witnessed it before, even as a janitor. The way they were distributing timesheets and stuff like that, or entering timesheets, you guys used to enter it in a paper. Now they've brought out this thing on an app where you can just go in and log in your time. Tell me you didn't witness anything or any change, and then I will know who the true liar is now. So the reality is that you are coming with a baggage of change. There's no way. You are coming with change. This thing called change. You are bringing it with you from your own industry, not my own, your own. Me, I came from my own education. In week 10, I'm going to tell you, I'll give you the full story, the project that I told them about from the university. I'm not going to do that tonight. That I use from the university. So change has happened. You are the only one who is blind to see that change. You've not looked at it the way you ought to look at it. Why? Because you have not yet begun to pursue that journey of business analysis. You're still stuck in your current role. And that is why here I said you are going to begin to talk about what you did from the perspective of a BA. So with this little thing I've just told you today, this little thing, there's a lot. There's a lot to what I just said. What I just said is just a tiny tip of the iceberg. There's a lot to what there's a 2-hour session on what I just said to help you understand it fully so that you can beat your chest, stand in front of a hiring manager, irrespective of who you are going to be competing with 8 years of experience or 7 years of experience. You'll be able to deliver to the hiring manager and he will hire you as a BA. And that is how, in the past 2 weeks, I've been able to have up to 8 success stories in these 2 weeks from people that were just like you. One, she just migrated 6 months ago to the US. She was the one who called me on Monday. Was it Monday or Tuesday? And she started in March. She started in the March cohort. $60 per hour from being unemployed. She was working in the HR of an oil and gas company. And listen, I'm not kidding you. What she went there to talk about was what she did as HR in an oil and gas company. But here is where it makes a lot of sense. The company that actually hired her are actually in the oil and gas sector. And they were looking for a BA. So the question is, what is the connection between HR and business analysis? Is this thing called change, sir? Change. So when they say you need a mentor, it's not just by word of, they're not just trying to deceive you. Because there are some things you don't know. There are some things you don't see. You first need to tell yourself, I don't know this thing. You need somebody to help you get there because they've walked that path before. It's reality, it's the truth. So this thing called change is what is going to help you position your previous experience. We are not going to go and manufacture a lie from somewhere. No. Because I see some of people, they show me their CV, they can't even tell me how. What if you now go to a top grading interview? How many of you have heard of that interview before? Top grading. It's called top grading interview. How many of you have heard of top grading? How many of you have heard of top grading? Just one person. Well, none of you have heard of top grading? So just one person has heard of top grading. Let me show you. So top grading interview, in a top grading interview, what they do is they will ask you to, they will put your resume like it's normally, it's not less than a top grading interview. It's not less than 2 hours. In fact, what am I talking about? It's not less than 3 hours. A top grading interview. You're going to be there for 3 hours minimum. You will go through every single line and every single employer. We have 2 students on this platform that has gone through that. 2. No, 3 students. And they all passed. The first is Ola. The second is Vidant. I showed you at the beginning of the call. Vidant. The third is Bobby. If you go on our YouTube channel, you're going to see, Bobby. And for those of you who are coming on the call, you're going to see, when I give you the interview prep videos, you're going to see the top grading interview. It lasts for nothing less than 3 hours. So what if you go to a top grading interview with a lie of a CV? How do you cope? How are you going to cope? Tell me. It will not be possible. They will catch you. So what I'm telling you now makes sense. So number 1, and that brings me to the third one. The third one is tell a lie. And you better be good at it. You better be good at it. I mean, yes, people have lied and they've been good at it. They know how to cover their tracks. But, well, I do not advocate for this. But it is a way that people have shown experience. We can't lie about this. But these are your 2 sure bets. This one, if you've never done a project before, I've shown you a series of projects that students are working on, and even more. We have more that you can work on. And then I've shown you that you can actually use your current experience to move into business analysis. So what are we talking about? So that is the one part I wanted to show you today. Remember, I said I was going to show you business analysis. The second part that I want to move into is this thing called product ownership, which is part of this training. This thing called product ownership. Because some of you, all you just need is clarity. Because you don't know what is happening on the other side of the fence. So to take a step, you're not able to take that step because there is no clarity. So think about this first class as a clarity session. I'm going to open the call very soon. I'm going to, begin to take questions. So keep your questions for me. I will answer them. I can be here till 12. If you have questions, I will answer them. Don't worry. So let's talk about this other part of our course that is called product ownership. So this course is a dual course, so to speak. So on the one hand, there is business analysis, which is what I used to teach. But then the market started changing very rapidly. And I'm not the type of person who doesn't change. I can't be teaching change and not change. You see? So the market started changing and it was changing on us. People started saying that the traditional BA has died. It's a lie. And I'll tell you, it's not true. Traditional BA is not dead. It's just that they failed to move with it. And I'll tell you what that is. Because some of you will even have the questions on that. And I'm going to tell you what it is. Don't worry, I'll tell you what it is. So we moved into product ownership and combined it with business analysis, and the market actually agrees with us. And for the success stories that I showed you, some of you that were here at the beginning, I showed you people like Vedant, I showed you people like Dr. Christian, solutions architect, I showed you people that were product consultants. How do you become a product consultant from a BA class? How is that possible? It's because of this thing called product ownership that I teach them. And for those of you who don't know what we cover in that course, please, I will show you the website, download the brochure, and see everything that we're going to be teaching you there. Very important. So let me help you understand this thing called product ownership. But before I can help you understand this, I need to help you understand projects. How are projects run? How do we run projects? So before I can help you get here, remember, it's step by step. I take you all as novices, right? You've never done this before in your life. Even if some of you already have done your research, I'll take you all as though you never heard it before. So it means I have to take it from first principles. So what is product ownership? I've talked about business analysis, and I think you guys are okay with that, right? Who has a question about business analysis? You don't understand what I said about business analysis or who a business analyst is. Anybody still has question about business analysis? Anybody? I can take that question now. So it means you understand business analysis, right? Yeah? Okay, so let me ask you a question. Can I move on to product ownership? Put yes in the chat. Okay? Can I move on to product ownership? Okay, so somebody said sum it up. Okay, let me help you sum it up. Let me sum up the business analyst thing for you. So with business analysis, okay, what it simply means, give me a minute. I'm going to do a few things for you here. So to sum up what a business analyst, some of the things that the business analyst will typically do. Give me a minute. Okay, to sum up some of the things that the BA would typically do, all right, when there is the need for a change, these are some of the things that the BA would do. So let me I'll try to do that quickly, but I will continue it in the next class. Number one is need assessment. So the BA will try to understand the need, your problem, the pain point, the opportunities. They will ask the right questions. It is what we call elicitation in the lingua franca. We call it elicitation. So elicitation, I'm going to teach you that in module 3. There's a lot of ways you can elicit. You can, do this thing. You can do it through interviewing, through experimenting, through document analysis. But here in need assessment, you're trying to understand the need, the problem itself. It's just like a plumber that comes to your house. When a plumber comes to your house, he will not just dash into the washroom and start tinkering with stuff. No, he will ask you questions. Please, madam, even if he's the expert, he will still ask you questions. Madam, what's the problem? Is it the sink? Is it the bathtub? You see, he's trying to get information from you so that he knows what to do. He knows what solution to. So one of the things that a BA would typically do is need assessment. Another thing that you will find a BA do is stakeholder engagement. A BA will engage stakeholders. He will identify and analyze those who have interest in this project, in the outcome, in the solution, in the need, and then he will collaborate with them. So he doesn't work alone. Remember, he works with people. So one of the things you do as a BA is stakeholder engagement. You engage with customers. You engage with project sponsors. You engage with developers. You will engage with designers. So stakeholder engagement is a huge part of what you will do. Number 3, requirement elicitation and confirmation. So you're not just collecting information, you will also confirm that information from the sources before you communicate it. So you are like an amebo. You are like the guy who is going about collecting information from different sources. Remember, so that you can have enough accurate information for the team to be aligned on. And then once you collect this information, you're also going to analyze it and document it. So this is part of what you do, requirement analysis and documentation. When you've collected that information, you now begin to break it down. You begin to break it down. For example, somebody may tell you that I don't want to be sending email anymore. Okay, that is what they told you. That is what this person told you, because they said you should streamline the system for them. So when you went to them, they told you that, we don't want to be sending email anymore, but this email has to be sent anyway, but we don't want to be the one sending it. So what does that mean? When you take that back with you, what does that mean? It means that the email has to be sent automatically, isn't it? True or false? So it means that while you elicited that information, you now came here and analyzed it to be that, okay, what that means is that it needs to be sent out automatically. And then now you're going to document it for the person who is going to implement it. But remember that you can't document these things until you've gone to confirm it. So that somebody does not implement something tomorrow and they will now come and tell you, no, I did not authorize it. They will put the blame on your head. So any information that you are communicating to be implemented has to be confirmed. You collect, you collate information, you will confirm that information, and you communicate it. All C's. Part of your work, okay, I put 4 here. Part of your work will also be traceability and monitoring. Because things change. The solution that they told you about today may change tomorrow because of market condition. You have to trace it back. You will monitor how things change over time. You manage the requirement life cycle. You see? How many of you have had to want to do something and then you change your mind? Just because something else happened. How many of you ever had that happen to you before? So what makes you think it can't happen on the job too? So it happens on the job. So this is part of your work. And then there is this part called solution evaluation that will involve testing. Now, this you may or may not. Are you seeing that? So needs assessment, stakeholder engagement, requirement elicitation and confirmation, requirement analysis and documentation, traceability and monitoring, solution evaluation. So now when you're looking at what a BA really does, what are the roles? Number one, he's going to define the need. He will manage stakeholders. He will facilitate meetings. He will gather requirements. He will question requirements. He will challenge the requirements. He will analyze requirements. He will confirm requirements, because requirements are the usable representation of a need. Don't forget that. Requirements are the usable representation. So he's going to analyze the requirements, document them, communicate them, help the team to understand the requirements. He will monitor the changes in the requirement. He will test the solution to make sure that it meets the requirement. At the end of the day, he's there to enable a successful change. I hope that wraps it up for you. Now, remember, we are talking about change here. And change will not be carried out in a vacuum. It will be carried out in using the agency of a project. So let's talk about that now, so that we introduce product ownership. So now, when you talk about projects, okay, projects are carried out using the what we call the project management life cycle. The project management life cycle. Give me a minute, guys. Just give me a minute, guys. Yeah. Okay. So projects are carried out using the project management lifecycle. So with the project management lifecycle, when you carried out a project, there will be an initiation phase. I'm not going to go deep into this because I just want to get you somewhere. There's an initiation phase where you guys are actually, deciding to get on the project, right? You're deciding what and what you guys want to embark on. That's like the initiation stage. I will go in week 2. I'm going to talk more about this, okay? I'm going to talk more about this in week 2. So for now, I'm just going to skim through it, okay? So there's the initiation phase where we are debating about, so this is what we need to do. Should we go? Should we do it? Should we not do it? Who will be involved? Who will not be involved? And things like that. So there's the initiation. And then once that is established, we will now know that, we are doing this project for real, right? There will now be planning. We will now plan the project. Okay? There will now be planning. Now, after planning, and we understand what it is that we are doing, who is involved, and all of that stuff, the next thing will be execution. It's time to execute the project. Okay? It's time to execute the project. And then in execution, after execution, we close the project. Closure. Now, some of you who know project management, you'll probably know that I missed one thing, right? How many of you know what I missed? I know some of you say I missed something. That thing that you think I missed is called monitoring and control. But you see, monitoring and control will be done within the execution. So as you're executing the project, you'll be monitoring it and controlling it, making sure that it is staying within the parameters of that project. Now, here is why I brought you here. Most projects will go through this phase, and I'm going to talk more about it in module 2, so don't worry about that. For most of you, the bulk of your project will be a software-related project. The bulk of the projects you're going to be working on will be software-related. The bulk of the projects. In fact, 95% of the projects will involve the software. Think about, I just want you to think about it. Think about any organizational process that does not involve the software. Think about it. Can you think about any organization, their process that does not involve the software? Think about it. Just take a minute to think about it. So it means that most of the things you'll be doing will involve this thing called a software. So it means that we need to understand how a software is executed. Please stick with me. I'm just trying to take you to product ownership. But some of you hear product ownership, but you don't know where the thing came from. So most of the things that you'll be working on will involve software. And we want to understand, how is this software executed? Meaning, how do you create a software? What is the step-by-step of creating a software? Don't forget how I got here. Is the fact that there is change, and change has to be carried out through a project. And most of the changes that you'll be carrying out in your organization would have to do with a software, sir. Yes, 100%. So it's important for us to now begin to understand that in a project, there will be need to execute that project, which is mainly where you will come in terms of the change. So how is that project executed? There is a step-by-step process of executing a software, of creating a software. We call it the software development life cycle. How many of you have heard of that? It's called the SDLC. How many of you have heard of that? You've heard of that? It's called the SDLC. It's called the SDLC. How many of you have heard of that? Nobody has heard of SDLC on this call? I see one person saying they've They've heard of it. Okay, you've heard of SDLC. So SDLC is how a project is a software project is executed, right? Good. Now, the SDLC has several steps. Number one is requirement. So remember, there's planning. Let me start with the planning. So number one is planning. I'm just going to go quick with this, okay? So that on Saturday, I will continue. Number one is planning. So let's say, for example, we are trying to create a dating app. Okay, let me use a dating app, for example, because it's very easy to understand that one. Okay, so let's say we are creating a dating app, for example. Where now the planning, in the planning, you are going to understand the scope. So meaning that you're going to understand what exactly are we going to be doing. This app is going to have registration. This app is going to have people logging in. This app is going to have people account information and management. Okay, this app is going to have people messaging themselves. This app is going to have what else? Some settings and preferences. Okay, this app is going to have what else? Customer service. Okay, this app is going to have what? Matching algorithm. Okay, so here, payment option, thank you. It's going to have payment options. It's going to have payment options. So here, you are trying to understand in the planning, they say he who fails to plan plans to fail. So the first step in creating a software or in the SDLC, software development lifecycle, is the planning, where you understand the scope of the work. So when I give my students a project, the first thing they need to do is to show me that we are all on the same, we all agree on the scope, so that nobody will come tomorrow and say they did not know what we needed to build. So now that we understand that, oh, registration is what we are looking at, login, this, and we agree on this, we now have a contract. We now have something to pursue. We now have a vision that we are looking to execute. The next step is requirement analysis. Step 2. So here, we will now take this registration and break it down. Are you getting me? This registration, we now know that we will be giving this registration, we will be breaking it down. For example, for this dating app, we know that if you are more than or below 18 years of age, you cannot register. So 18 years and above, for you to register, you must be 18 years and above. So meaning that now you are putting the details together. At first, we knew that we would do registration, but do you know how we will register? Now, you know that they can register using email. Okay? They can register using email. Okay? So you can register using email or Google. So now you are giving the details. If you're registering via email, you have to put your password. You have to set your password. You have to give your name, maybe first name and last name. You will need a place where you put your date of birth so that we can confirm whether you are 18 years and above before we let you open an account. You see, you are going to agree to terms and conditions. So that you don't come tomorrow and sue us that you matched with a crazy person and then the crazy person killed you. You will not come and hold us accountable to that. So we'll have certain terms and conditions you are going to agree to. You see, if you are going through Google, you are going to agree to their terms and conditions. So we will now analyze this. For login, we will do the same thing for login. For the matching, how do we want to match people? Is it geographically? We are going to put all the details of what the person who wants this app is going to, you guys are going to rub minds. You're going to be collecting information, whether with your team. And at the end of the day, you guys will have all the different details for how messaging should happen. When you message a new person, how many times can you message somebody without them replying you? Okay, let them only message twice. If they can message twice, if the person does not reply, don't allow them to message again. You have given what? The detail. That is what that person wants. By the time this person has messaged them 3 times, okay, then they should have the option to send a request to allow voice or video. But don't give them that option initially. What are you doing? Detail. Whereas there are some apps that will give you that option right away. It is the what I want. So at this point now, you are now defining how your own messaging is different from the other messaging in the other app. It is what you want. You are then defining how the settings should be. You are defining the customer service. You are defining the matching algorithm. You are defining that the payment option should only be Stripe. They can use their credit card. They can't use debit card. They will use PayPal or credit card. For those in the US, they'll be able to use maybe Zelle or something. For those in Canada, they'll be able to use Interac. So you are going to give the details in requirement analysis. By the time you give that detail, you will now go to number 3. It's called design. Remember, this is what? SDLC, step by step of creating a software. So planning, requirement analysis, design. So now you will take this. Oh, sorry. You will take this detail. Okay. You will take this detail here. You will take this detail and you will move this detail into design. So based on what you've told them now, you told them that they can use email to register. So this designer will now begin to take your requirements and he will begin to create a design for it. Based on the things you are telling him, he's going to use that to create what? A design. Now, that design will now move to the next step. I'm going to go fast with this. Don't worry, I'm going to go into details in the next module. Design will now go into what? Implementation. So this is where they will take your design, the design from the designer. They will take your requirements. Okay? So they will take your design and then they will take your requirements and they will now start to implement it. So the developers will be the ones to implement it. After implementation, number 5 is testing. That's the next step. You now begin to test what has been implemented. You begin to test what has been what? Implemented. It's called testing and integration. I'm going to talk more about that here. Like, how many of you actually will sew a dress? How many of you sew a dress and then you maybe you sewed a dress for a party? Okay, so you sewed a dress for a party. How many of you sew a dress for a party and you do not try on that dress before the party? You just launch it in the party. It doesn't happen that way, especially for the ladies. You know what I'm talking about, right? You don't just go and launch a dress that you gave to the tailor, especially when you give him requirements for. No, you have to test it to make sure it's working fine. And once you test it and make sure it's working fine, then you now deploy it. I'm going to talk more about this. And then once you are done with the party, once you have finished the party, I don't think you will throw the cloth away. You will maintain it. So the next step is maintenance. So the same way with the software, it goes through all these steps. You know what you want. You define what you want. You design what you want. You implement what you want. You now begin to test what you want. And then once everything is good, you deploy it and then maintain. This is what we call the SDLC. Now, don't forget that this SDLC is the execution of the project. Now, I will take you to where I want to take you to. This SDLC is the execution of the project. So you have initiation of a project. Okay. You have the planning of a project. You have the execution of a project. And then now you have what? The closing of a project. Now, this execution is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6. Planning, which is this, coincides with this. Okay. Analysis, design, implementation, testing, okay, and deployment, right? And you can put maintenance there if you want to. There is maintenance. Now, there are 2 ways that you can execute this. 2 ways. And this is where projects now begin to get their methodology from. Because initiation doesn't have any method of initiation. You just decide whether you want to do the project or not, right? Planning, there's no way of doing planning apart from planning. There's no technique. You just have to plan. Maybe you sit with people, you understand what it is that is happening, and then closing the project. Execution is where you can now decide how you want to execute. So let me explain that. Because how you execute determines the nature of the project. Let me explain. So you see this planning, analysis, design, implementation, testing, and deploy. You can decide to do it step by step. You can decide that after planning everything, you will now go to requirement analysis. After analyzing all of the requirements, you analyze registration, login, every single thing. After you've analyzed it, that is when you now go into design. And then you design everything. After designing every single thing is the time you will now move it into implementation. And after implementing everything is when now you now begin to test it. And after testing, before you deploy. You see this step-by-step method is called waterfall or traditional project management. You see, waterfall. Like you finish one and then you move to the next. It's waterfall. So you're doing it step by step. How many of you have heard of waterfall before? That's waterfall. I know you're still asking, where is this product ownership going to come now? Hold on, I'm coming there. I just want to introduce you to it gently. And then in the next class, I will take you a bit further. It's called waterfall. So this thing is called waterfall. You will have heard it before. So this is waterfall. I'm going to go deeply into it in module 2. I'm going to take you there in module 2. Now, you can decide to do it step by step like this, or you can decide that while you are analyzing some, you can be designing some. So if you have analyzed requirement and login, you can move it to design while you are analyzing the rest. And if you've designed some, you can actually begin to implement it. And as if you implement some, you don't have to wait to implement everything. You can actually begin to test them. And depending on what you've tested, if it makes sense, you can decide to deploy. So you can be doing it iteratively in bits and in bobs. So you can be analyzing something and be designing something and be implementing, you don't have to wait for analysis to be done on everything before you design it. You don't have to wait for design to be done before you implement it. You don't have to wait for, you can be doing so that at the end of the day, in each iteration, you're going to be releasing small things. You release small thing this time. The next time we meet, you're going to release another one. The next time we meet, you're going to do another one. The next time we meet, you're going to release one. And the next time we meet, you're going to increase one big thing. Whereas in waterfall, by the time you are done, you're just going to release one big thing in waterfall. Whereas in agile, this one I just told you is agile. You are going to be releasing in bits and in bobs. So iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3, iteration 4, iteration 5, and then finally, depending on the number of iterations, you are now able to get here. This agile is a popular one. Some of you have heard it before, right? Agile is a popular one. I'm going to go deeply. All this one I'm giving is just the surface level, just trying to help you see that this thing is not hard. So this agile is the popular one that people use. So when you start going into job descriptions, you will start saying agile, agile, agile. That is what they are talking about. But there are two popular ways, two popular frameworks that is used to carry out this agile. It's called Scrum, and the second one is called Kanban. I will not talk about them today. But here is the big deal. Scrum is a framework. What do you mean by framework? How many of you have seen the frames in your house? You have a frame in your house where you put pictures. How many of you have a frame in your house where you put pictures? How many of you? Yes, if you have a frame in your house where you put pictures, just put yes in the chat. Let me be sure that I'm talking to someone. If you have a frame in your house where you put pictures, you've seen that kind of thing before. Now, if you have a frame like this, somebody can decide to put the picture like this. Somebody can decide to put the picture to fill the frame. Another person can decide to put the picture to just be a little part of the frame. Meaning that the frame is only a guide. So when we say framework is a guide that helps us to execute agile. And I'm going to teach you more about that in module 2. So Scrum is a framework, and Kanban is also a framework, the two popular frameworks that we use for agile. Now, when I teach you about Scrum, one of the things you will now realize is that there are 3 roles in Scrum, 3 roles. I'm going to explain that. The first role is a Scrum Master role. So that is where some of you were hearing Scrum Master, Scrum Master. You want to be a Scrum Master. It's because this Scrum Master is a master of Scrum. He understands Scrum in and out. And I'm going to be teaching you Scrum in week 2. So by the time you understand Scrum in and out, you can also become a Scrum Master. Yes, on this program. Because a Scrum Master is a guardian of the process. But remember that we are building a product. So we have somebody who is a guardian of the process. Scrum now said, let's have another person that is a guardian of the product. He's called the product owner. That was where I was taking you to. It's called the product owner. And then there's the third role called the development team. This product owner, let me quickly tell you what he does. And then I would continue it much later. Remember that in business analysis, you are bringing out change in an organization, isn't it? Please follow me. You are doing change in an organization, is that not? And I told you that this organization is either their product, process, okay, technology, people, or policy, right? So it means that a BA can work on a product the same way that this product owner is going to work on a product. Bang, bam. Somebody's asking, where does a QA come in? It comes in here, testing. Don't worry, I'm going to talk about that much later in week 2. So if you're going to be joining the program, remember, I'm just trying to do introduction today, trying to help you understand product ownership and business analysis. That's all. There's more. On Saturday, I'll be telling you more. But just to answer that question about QA, what does the QA come in? Testing, and you can assist. So the product owner works on product. A BA can also work on product, and that is why sometimes a BA role can be switched as a PO role. But not all PO roles can be switched to a BA role, because a BA role is more than product. And to leave you with something that will help you till we come next time, when you want to build a product, there are a lot of things that make up a product. We call them features. Some features are more important than others. Some features are what? More important than others when you are building a product. Let me help you understand that. For example, if you're building a car, would you be more concerned about building a moonroof compared to putting in a steering? Which one would you consider to be more important for a car to run? The steering or the moonroof? Which one? Hello, which one, guys? The steering or the moonroof? The steering, right? Now, the product owner is the guy who determines the value or the priority of these features based on his knowledge of the product. So based on his knowledge, he now says, you know what, let us do steering first, sir. Let's put engine first. Let's do this before we go and put moon roof. So he has what is called a backlog where he's going to put all these features in there and he's going to be managing it. So a product owner basically manages the backlog of features. Now, that is just a tip of the iceberg, helping you understand product ownership and business analysis. And don't forget that a business analyst in trying to also work on a product will do the same thing that a product owner will do. So now the market is requesting that you can be a product owner, you can be a scrum master, you can be a BA. Where people are just focusing on BA, somebody who has gone through a training like this where you can be a BA, you can be a PO, because there's a lot of things that are in BA that is not in PO. Here, I'm going to be teaching you about product vision, and I'm going to show you that product strategy, prioritization techniques, okay? Prioritization. I'm going to be teaching you about roadmap, and I'll give you an assignment. Just go and look at product owner job description. You'll begin to see these things that I'm talking about. So these are the things that I'm going to teach you that are exceptional. I'm going to be teaching you about user journeys. I'm going to be teaching you about personas. I'm going to be teaching you about B2B, B2C. A lot of things that has to do with product that you will not find here. Combine this with your knowledge of Scrum and Kanban. Tell me how you will not overcome the market. Tell me, just tell me how. Tell me how. You'll be one linear person just looking at, you'll just be facing business analysis. No. You'll be able to do business analysis, product ownership, and that Scrum Master role that is fading away. Take it from me. If you are aiming to be a Scrum Master, change that plan. Take it from me. Take it from me. The future of Scrum Master is bleak. It's fading away. Because now they've discovered that a project manager can be a Scrum Master. A Scrum Master can take vacation for 1 year, and a BA will do his job. But a BA can take vacation for 2 weeks, and a Scrum Master will not be able to do his job. Think about it. That will help you and guide you on what is necessary and where you need to go. So now people are looking for people with multi-skill. You can be a product owner, you can be a Scrum Master, and you can be a BA at the same time. But there's another question. Is the traditional BA dead? No. I'll answer that question on Saturday. At this point, it's 9 o'clock. I want to pause here, all right? Because I don't want to, some of you have places to go. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stay around for the next 30 minutes, just in case you have questions. So it's question time. Any questions? Now, we will be meeting the same time on Saturday. Now, let me tell you, the 2 classes for this week is free. The 2 classes for this week is actually free. But from week 2 down to week 10, and then the practical side, it is not free. Now, here is the thing. You'll be learning business analysis. Ordinarily, you guys know, with business analysis, you can spend close to 2,500, okay, to get a proper training in business analysis. That's in Canadian dollars. If you're in the US, maybe about 1,800 is what you're going to spend for a BA training. You want to do a proper PO training where all these things will be dealt with. You are thinking of spending almost the same amount here. Then you're going to do work experience, meaning you're going to take part in a project. You spend almost certainly anywhere between 1,500 to 2,500 here. So let's say here you're spending anywhere between 1,000 USD to 1,800 USD. And then you're going to go for mentorship. Here, I'm going to put you with one person. So one of the things that I do is I'm going to match you with somebody who is a business analyst already, one of our alumni. You're going to sit with them. You're going to have a chat with them. You're going to understand what they do. You have some time to go through certain questions with them, all right? So you'll be matched with them. That's number one. Number two, you will go through one-on-one resume clinic. We call it a clinic, not resume clinic, where we're going to now begin to, remember I told you you can use your previous experience, right? So that is that session. We'll now begin to look at your previous experience one-on-one, and then we'll begin to come up with CVs, and I'll show you some of the example of that CV. I'll show you an example maybe tonight, if you can. We'll begin to come up with CV that looks like your previous experience, but it's a BA, so that you can talk and defend it. So remember, this kind of coaching is one-on-one. Sometimes it takes 2 hours. Sometimes it takes 2-3 sessions. Sometimes for some people it's difficult, like there's one lady now, she has only had banking experience all her life. So we need to find a way to make it work. This is today, by the time I'm done, I'm meeting with her for the 3rd time. Why? Because we need to make it work. So it's not the type where we rush things. No, we need to make that CV work. Work for you and work beyond you getting a job. So that kind of coaching will cost you money, especially if you are paying per hour. It can cost you in excess of 2,500. I'm trying to help you understand the value in the training, because you need to understand, because some of you need to understand what you are losing by what you are trying to save. Do you understand? You need to understand that. And then, by reason of this training, you're going to also have access to lifetime resources. So meaning your recordings for this course, for example, this recording will be made available on the LMS. We have an LMS, a learning management system. I'm going to show you that. Will be made available. You have lifetime access to this. You have lifetime access to self-paced course for those of you who want to go faster. You have lifetime access to interview prep videos. Remember I talked about top grading interview? You're going to see it there. You have lifetime access to all these things. This is huge. That is what EJ used. And she was able to smash this in 4 weeks. Get a job in 4 weeks. Now, aside from this, you're going to also have access, by reason of the self-paced course, to SQL video, Power BI video, okay, Excel videos. So just in case you want to add some data skill, remember in tech, the more the merrier. How much are you going to pay for this? Then you're going to have on-the-job support. We can guarantee you at least 1 month. Though that 1 month, that 1 month, you are going to, your foot will be solid. Question, how much are you going to pay for this one? For those that are not on my program that come from the job support, I charge them $250 per hour, $250 per hour. And sometimes we do 2 hours. So you can imagine that's already 500 just for 2 hours. And sometimes they will come like 2-3 times before they find their feet. So you can imagine. So you're having all of these things. You can imagine spending up to $1,000 here. You can imagine spending $399 here because that's how much we give our self-paced course. Just the self-paced course is $399. Just the self-paced course, not to talk of these ones. That's another $1,000 plus. And then here is, you can say 2,525. That's almost, you're talking about almost, if you're doing all this, 14,500 if you're doing them piecemeal. Piecemeal. And all this you're going to get for the next 10 weeks plus the practical. You're going to get all this for those of you in Canada, 2,500 Canadian dollars. That's what this is going to cost you. For those of you in the US, it's 1,800 USD. That's what this is going to cost you. So instead of you having to go you're trying to save money, because at the end of the day, you need to be able to, you want to go and spend, you want to spend 1.5, save money, and you're just doing only business analysis. You go into the market, you will search for job. You don't have any alternative to look at. You still come back and you will now pay the money that you were not supposed to pay. And don't forget, while you are thinking of this as a fee, some others are thinking of it as investment and taking a bet on themselves. Because investment is what yields results. It yields results. So imagine someone who did 2.5, like the lady that did 2.5, she didn't have a job in the US, crying when she was paying the money. She was crying. In less than 10 weeks, now she has a job that pays $60 per hour. Quantify that. So this training will come to you at this price. And you have the opportunity to do a 3-time payment. For those of you who are looking for flexible payment options, a 3-time payment. You also have the opportunity to do a 5-time payment for those of you looking for flexible payment options. Okay, I'm just going to quickly take you to, if there are any questions, please, can you put those questions in the chat? Let me, while I'm talking, I can answer the questions. Oh, yes, we do reference. Thank you for that. We do reference. Yes, so we are going to handle references too. Work reference. Yes, because we have an organization, for those of you who are going to use that, we have an organization that is very much what you use for those of you who want. So all that we handle. So you can see that work reference is handled. So yes, we handle work reference. For that person who is asking about work reference, we handle that. Somebody said, for those that have paid, do we have access to the videos so we can start studying? Yes, by today, AMA should have added you if you have made a payment. Now, for those of you who are waiting to make payment, but you've already said, oh yes, you will have access, we'll add you to the recordings for this class, not for the self-paced until you make a payment. By the time you make a payment, we'll add you to the rest of the other things. All right. But some of you said, oh, you're going to make a payment at the end of the month because that's when your money is coming, or by the middle of the month and stuff like that. We are still going to add you to the LMS. We're going to add you to the recordings. Like this recording for this class should be up by the end of today or tomorrow, right? And the recordings for Saturday will also be up, right? So you will have access to those things. So yes, the cost basically is everything that we talk about here. And remember when I talked about week 10, the career coaching and introduction, everything around work experience, I'm going to be treating it in this week. And then we're going to talk about technology and design, so that those of you who are going to, those of you that are, you will hit the ground running on day one. You're going to be understanding things like APIs and stuff like that. APIs, front end, back end, software development environments, content management systems. You're going to be understanding these things like this, okay? And when I talk about the resume clinic, I'm actually talking about, so let me see if I can show you a few things here. So, for example, you can see like this resume is from somebody who did sales and marketing. So this guy actually did sales and marketing, and we were able to still tailor that experience from, sales and marketing. So this was all the things he has been doing sales and marketing for 15 years. So you can imagine how many things he has done in 15 years. When he heard me talk about in week 10, when he heard me talk about the things that I talked about in week 10, he was able to create notable projects and experiences from what he did, from the things that he experienced. You can look at this market transformation. He's a sales and marketing person. Led the rollout of RCS8 for sub-Saharan Africa. 1,000. He was working in a tobacco company. He did a whole lot in sub-Saharan Africa for that tobacco company in his sales and marketing journey, where he became eventually a manager. He was able to put this together. I was able to show him certain things. I was able to take all of that experience using some of the terms that we've taught now in the class. He's now beginning to put them together, like product visioning, product strategy. You see, project and change management. He now puts everything together, makes good sense of it. Can you see the B2B that I told you about? So we'll try and understand the things from where you're coming from, and definitely you'll be able to speak about these things. That is what gets you a job in this market. That's what gets you a job. Okay? Or you want to look at someone like, let me show you an example of this one. Someone like this guy. If I told you that this guy was a financial manager, would you believe me? Would you believe me? When you read everything that he has done here, from EDI systems to integration with Microsoft Dynamics NAV2, would you believe me? All right. So that's it. Okay. So if there are any questions, let me know. So this course actually goes for the amount that you see here, and you can also make a 3-time payment. You can make a 5-time installment. If there are any issues, you can reach out to us. You can reach out to us on probably the email that reached out to you, or if you're on our WhatsApp group. If you're not on our WhatsApp group, I can put that in here for you so that you can reach out to us through that. You can reach out to any of the admins. Can reach out to any of the admins. Any questions, guys? What do you mean? You want to do a one-on-one session? Can I unmute you? You want to do a one-on-one session, or you want to have a chat with me? Which one do you want? That person that is, you want to have a chat with me. Okay. So for those of you who want to have a chat with me, I'm going to put the number in here for you on WhatsApp, 437-345-0501. You can reach out to me on there, and then we can talk. All right. So I've unmuted you. Rabbi, you have your hand up. You have a question? You have a question? I've unmuted you.
No, I don't have a question. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Discount code. I just gave you the discount. For 14,500, you're paying 2,500 for the course. And this time around, we want to really stick and give you value. So it's quite a lot. It's quite a lot that we're delivering, because we're changing every format of what we're doing. This time around, your cohort project is going to be direct. Your developers and designers they're sent directly to you. So it's going to cost a lot. And trust me, again, and that's why I helped you to see what you're going to be losing. If you think that pricing is too much, that's fine. So, Coach Olu, I'm the lead person here to be doing everything, the lead guy here. And yeah. So that's that. If there are no questions, I will beg to leave. But if there are questions, that's the only reason I'm going to stay back. On Saturday, we are going to be meeting. Okay, you can see that here. 7 p.m. Thursdays, and then 7 p.m. on Saturday. So on Saturday, we're going to use the same link, 7 p.m. and we are going to continue our conversation around. So I'm going to be helping you see a lot of things around, unpacking what we've done today, helping you see a little bit more about certain things that I did not cover. Okay, as far as product ownership is concerned, I'm going to be talking a little bit about those things on Saturday. Okay, so don't miss Saturday. Don't miss it for anything, because I'm going to be giving you a sneak peek into products. Okay, into product, and help you realize that a product actually also starts with a need. Can you see? Can you see? A product starts with a need. Business analysis with a need. So you can't miss this. You can't miss this for anything. You can't miss this for anything. You can't miss this for anything. All right. So I'll see you guys when I see you on Saturday. And if you want to chat, that's my number in there. Reach out and we can help you make that transition. Thank you so much for coming on the call. I'll see you when I see you on Saturday. All right. Bye for now, guys.